Ladies and gentlemen, here we are with another episode of the D-Load from Valor and Venom. I'm your host, the American Outlaw SLC, Sean L. Christ. And let me tell you what, we have a special guest here today. Her name is Grace Ingebritson. And let me tell you what, the first time I laid eyes on this athlete was at the USS Nationals 2023. And my God, what a hell of a performance. But the reason why I wanted her on the show is because I want her to tell her story. Because I think it can inspire people that either are looking at trying to get in the sport, that may are thinking about the sport. And when you get the questions like, well, you know, I'm not that big or I don't ever be that strong. We talked about this offline before the show. Grace fell into this almost by pure accident. And guess what? When she fell into it, she ran with it, and she loves it. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce you to a favorite of mine, Grace Ingebritson. Grace, how you doing? Welcome to the show today.
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Oh, a little hectic. Busy. Yeah. We got school. We got a stream coming up on September 9th with the PSL Strongman League, the professional Strongman League.
Yeah, Huntington Beach, right?
Absolutely. You know about it. Absolutely. People know about it. Yes. Yeah, we're going to be down there from the 7th to the 9th, and obviously we're going to leave the 10th, but we're going to be live streaming with Tyler Purdue and all them and having a great show coming your way from the West Coast. What's funny is that, you know, when I started this thing with Paul, we were thinking like only doing Arizona, but people are reaching out to us and, hey, we're going to go where we need to go. If you want us there, yeah, we're going to be there. But enough about me, enough about that stuff. We want to talk about you. This is your show today. So, Grace, tell us about yourself. Tell us about, you know, how you got into this.
Oh my gosh. Specifically getting into Strongman, I really just got talked into it by some of my old powerlifting teammates. They like switched to Strongman, and I was doing CrossFit back in Wisconsin, and I was moving back to Colorado, and they're like, you gotta quit that CrossFit stuff. Like, only sissies do CrossFit. And they're like, it's actually this event last year. She was like, my friend Rochelle, she was like, you're signing up. Like, it was not a, do you want to? You're signing up. I said, okay, sure, I'll do it. Signed up for novice, and I did this show. Weighed in at 134, competed against a girl that was 202 pounds, and got second. And I was like, okay, guess we can do this, and kind of kept rolling with it. But it's so much fun. So how could you not?
Is it the show you're at right now that you're wearing a shirt of?
7K Paper Classic. Let me rep this.
There you go.
It raises money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So every athlete fee, if you come in to watch, you got to donate at least $30. We've raised like I think they've raised like 13 or 14,000 so far. So it's a wonderful event. Ryan Stewart puts it on, and he's running it probably every year from now on. So it's exciting. It's good times, good food too. There's a pizza truck here, real good.
That's outstanding. And St. Jude's is one of those. You know, if you don't know what St. Jude's is, I'm be surprised if you don't. But you know, that's for you know, kids that are recovering from, I think, from cancer. They're not doing too well. They're on their last legs. It's all about the children. It's all about the kids trying to give them something. Like, you know, sometimes maybe the last wish, or maybe they can have a nice holiday. That's the whole point about it. So again, if you can donate to them, you know, reach out to Grace or find out what St. Jude Foundation is you can go to, and please, absolutely help out them as much as you can.
Reach out. The kids, they don't deserve to have cancer. It's the worst thing.
No, it's horrible. And not to go down that road, but I know I'm pretty sure that everybody, you know, watching the stream right now has probably experienced something with cancer, you know, in their family or loved ones or whatnot. And we all know it's not a fun time.
Not a good time.
Not a good time. No, not at all.
I can think of a few better things to do with the time.
Right. But hey, you know what? This is your chance to make a difference. But we're going to make a difference here at Grace. You can also reach her at, you want to go ahead and plug your Instagram, please?
It is Grace_Adriana_Ingy, and just come on, check me out. Let's get to know each other.
And you started that recently. That's not like a very old Instagram, right? Did you specifically start? Did you start for your Strongman?
No, I started it back in I think my first round of college when I was trying to bodybuild, and kind of did it for powerlifting, but I never really. It was a wax and wane kind of thing. Used it, didn't use it, and now with powerlifting or with strongman, especially like it's who you know kind of and how you can get out there. I'm trying to use a little bit more.
Sure.
But sometimes I feel a little like, oh, look at me. And it's weird. I'm not good talking about myself.
A lot. That's the one thing about the sport you'll see is that there are a lot of people in the sport that are strong, but we are probably the most humblest group of individuals and athletes you'll ever meet. It's hard to talk about yourselves. It really is. But if you want to get sponsors and get promotions and stuff like this, you got to do it.
You got to talk about yourself. It's like an interview. It's like, oh God, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? I don't know.
But I want to get into this before we start jumping around because there's a lot of things that you could talk about because I got your bio put up. So when you were younger, when you were a child, when you were coming up, were you active in the sports, or what was that like coming up from like your adolescent years, your teenage years?
So small town Wisconsin, everybody played sports essentially. We only had like the volleyball, the track, or basketball, kind of like the main. We didn't have soccer, gymnastics, none of the fancy rich people stuff. Like we just had like small town sports, right? So I played volleyball, I did dance team, and that was like the most out there thing we had. And then I ran track, but volleyball was always my thing. I really liked it. But then when I was 16, I didn't have the last name. I grew up in a very small town where your last name mattered. And I didn't have the last name. So I remember seeing this girl and she would go to the gym and it was just like, I want to look like her. So I started going to the gym, started lifting, and I was like, oh, this is really fun. This is really cool. And I never turned back. And here we are 16 years later.
And was that when you were pretty much in high school you were talking about?
Yeah, high school years.
Okay.
So this has started, I fell in love with the barbell when I was like 16 years old. I haven't looked back.
Now that's awesome. Now, so you said you went to college. Now, when did the bodybuilding thing come in? Because you said you were lifting at 16 years old. Now, were you training for something or just some kind of sports?
No, I was like doing just like the, oh God, what were those? They were like the insanity videos and just like basic lifting, some long distance running. And I started doing bodybuilding, I think around 21 because my boyfriend at the time did it. And then I got too much into partying in college. So that kind of was like the dieting and the partying didn't really go hand in hand. And then I moved out to Colorado after I graduated and discovered the sport called powerlifting. And I was like, oh, I can eat whatever I want and lift weights and compete. Okay, let's do this.
So basically you went from you're lifting your weights at 16 years old, then you got into powerlifting. And was that during college or after college?
For college, I would have been 23 when I started powerlifting.
23, okay.
30, did that for a few years, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that because that's the thing about this sport. It's like strongman is kind of like an advanced powerlifting thing. And
it really is.
It's kind of like where we all come from. Now, granted, there are people that come in here straight from bodybuilding to strongman, or they come in from, just straight into strongman without anything else. But
without anything.
Right, but I think the majority of us, maybe about 85% of us, were powerlifters before. We had fun in that, and we're like, oh, what's this over here? Because now they're running with those weights that we're pushing.
Exactly, and I think I've heard from a lot of people that are kind of transitioning from powerlifting to strongman. They're like, I just am bored. I do this 3 same lifts, and that's actually why I ended up stopping powerlifting too. I moved to a place back to Wisconsin where there really wasn't powerlifting, so I did CrossFit. But I still like to lift. And when I moved back here, it was really cool because strongman, in my opinion, combines best parts of powerlifting, lifting heavy with the movement of CrossFit, but with some overhead stuff of Olympic weightlifting. And you kind of get this amazing sport that has everything in it. And if you're into lifting weights, like how could you not be into strongman? It's so much fun.
I think that's the biggest thing. Once you get bit by the bug, you either got two ways. Either you love it or you hate it.
You're like, no.
But, for those that are listening or those that are eventually going to see this, I'm telling you, it's once you get into it and you go to your first competition, it's like nothing else. And I always tell people, now I'm kind of biased when it comes to like, where should you start? I always say, find a place that has stack monsters because it's 2 lift. It's very, there's 2 stack lifts, it's a wagon wheel deadlift, and it's a log press. It's strongman. People know wagon wheels. Yeah. People know log press. And the only reason I say that is because that's going to kind of get you used to the weight that you're going to be doing for this.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, also find a place that maybe has a medley. I know people don't like to do medleys, but it's like, yeah, it's big part of it. big part of it.
Medleys are, oh, I love medleys. I love to move with implements. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
I just say find a local competition that's, well, and it doesn't have to be like in your town, but close by. It's like state level. It's nothing crazy that has a novice, because there's nothing wrong. If you've never done this, do novice. Don't try and go and be number one. Just like go and have fun and do your best, because that's what's going to make you stick with it long term, is having fun.
Well, that's the biggest thing about too, is that, it is a competition, strongman competition or strongman meet, whatever you want to call it. But
Exactly.
really, the only person you're competing against is really yourself. If you put in the work and you show up hydrated, for one, on game day, and good sleep, you're gonna do well. You will.
Exactly. And you stay out of your head. Don't get yourself too worked up.
Yeah,
I made that mistake back in March. It was bad. There's a lot of crying in between them.
No, it's all right. So you did the bodybuilding thing. So let's dive in. I want to go back into that. So you started doing your bodybuilding. Now, you and your boyfriend time, were you both bodybuilders?
Yes, we were both bodybuilders. Yeah.
Okay, so you were going into that, and how did that go? Like with working out together and maintaining the diet and kind of finding the time to do it as well. Because were you working at the time as well?
I was a student and had a part-time job. So
yeah,
I was busy, but I was always in the gym regardless. I would be up at 5, then go to class, then go to work, go back to the gym if I had time. But it worked well, and then it didn't work well, I guess. My relationships have kind of been crashing first. Might be the best person to ask about that. It's fine.
I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to be the cat called Cuddle Black, but relationships, they are a thing. It happens. Sometimes it work. Sometimes it don't. Sometimes they don't work out 5 times. Who knows? It is what it is.
Who knows?
There's
a reason there's an X in front of it.
Well, like I said, I don't try to talk bad about anybody, but it's just I tried the whole family thing. I'm getting close to 40 years old since we're talking about it. Been engaged 5 times, been married 3 times, been divorced 3 times. It happens, but you still keep going. And a lot of it I don't have any ill will toward anybody. It's just some things just don't work out.
Exactly. And if you don't grow together, grow apart. And that's life.
I think that's one of the biggest keys, is that when you see couples in this sport, it blows your mind, because
I love it. I love it.
It's a power couple. I mean, when you see 2 people that just support each other and just get it, and they're both athletes, it's like, oh, here we go. Like it's like
the Bellevues, awesome. Like Sam Bellevue, and then I'm blanking on his name right now. But you just see these couples, and you're like, yes. You see them cheer for each other when one's competing and the other's not, and you're like, that's what it's supposed to be. And if you don't have that, if you're in something worse, get out. Yeah, life's great to be single too. Hey, whatever.
You're right. All right, we'll try to get back on track. I'll try
back on track. Reverse.
Yeah. So you guys were doing your bodybuilding thing, and then how long did you do bodybuilding for?
Honestly, I don't think I did it for that long. I maybe did it about 2 years at most, and I really I didn't like the whole point to me of the sport was I was going to stand on a stage and people were going to tell me what was wrong, like what wasn't symmetrical, what wasn't lean enough. And I tell myself all of that stuff anyway. I don't need somebody literally judging me off of it. And it wasn't for me long run. So I wasn't having fun with it. So what was the point?
How many years did you stay with it?
2 at most, because once I found powerlifting, I was like,
okay. And what did you compete in for bodybuilding?
I didn't. I got a few weeks out from a show and said, can't do it. Like, I just could not. I couldn't do it.
Okay. So you started off in the gym as a bodybuilder. Then you found this thing we call powerlifting.
Yes.
So tell us how that kind of became your thing now.
Oh, God. So much weed ago, when I was a big pothead in my early years. I think I moved out to Colorado.
Uh-oh. I think we lost Grace. Hold on. Let's see if we can get her back. Yep, she lost her signal. Okay, hold on. Let's see. All right, we lost her for a second. Let's see if she comes back on. Either her phone died or the signal cut out by accident. But We're going to get back on with her in a second. So if you guys get a chance, but we got the live stream open right now. If you want to go ahead and chat, if you want to go ahead and type anything in there, Grace is welcome to you. And like I said, one of the reasons why I wanted to get her on the show is because she did all three of the basic things. She was a bodybuilder, she was a powerlifter, and then she was a strongman. So if you want to ask any questions, you could ask it straight from the source about how she got in this sport, what she did to be successful in her sport, and just get to meet her personality. And she's pretty much an open book, and she's a pretty wild and fun time. But let's see if we can get her back real quick. We'll go ahead and take 1 second to pause the show.
Sorry, it's so hot here. Sorry, so hot here. My phone did the emergency turn
That's
off.
what I figured. That's what I figured.
It is 93 degrees in Denver right now, so.
But we're not taking away from your competition, are we? Right now.
Oh, what?
I said.
What just happened?
Your phone's still, yeah, I can hear you. Your phone's still overheating. It's okay.
I'm in my car in front of the air conditioner, trying to cool my phone down. Sorry, everyone who's watching.
Grace, if you have your Bluetooth turned on, can
it's hot.
Please turn the Bluetooth off. It connected, and now I got an echo.
Okay, let me.
That's okay.
How do I do this?
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing it here. Sometimes technical things happen. This is what makes it wild and crazy and fun. We just get through it, right?
Exactly.
That sounds way better.
All right, I am not connected. Better?
Yeah, you sound way better. Okay.
I know. But I guess 93 degrees and iPhones are not friends, ladies and gentlemen.
No, they're not. They absolutely overheat all the time, unfortunately. But we're not taking away from your safety at the competition, right? Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said we're not taking away from your job at your competition you're at right now, are we? Okay.
Oh, not at all. No, we're good.
Okay, so we left off. You were basically explaining to everyone what was the big transition from bodybuilding to powerlifting and kind of like your experience in that.
So I moved out to Colorado and I was still kind of doing like training for bodybuilding. And then I remember seeing this group. It was just this big group of people that were all training together. I think it was a Sunday. And I was like, what are you guys doing? I had honestly never heard of powerlifting before. I had no idea what it was. And they're like, oh, this is our Sunday group. Like, we're powerlifters. This is what we do. And I was like, okay. So I was new to the town, like new to Colorado. I didn't know anybody. And I thought this was awesome. I was like, I want to get involved in this. I want these people to be my friends. And I started training with them. And I took off with it. It was so much fun. And they became my best friends in the world, too. So.
Yes, they do.
Great. Yes, they always do.
With your powerlifting, so when you started training that, so when did you get that bug where you started noticing like the difference in training from bodybuilding to powerlifting? So instead of doing reps upon reps upon reps and the crazy diet and all that stuff, you still got to train, you still got to diet, there's still a plan you got to do. But what was the big transition that you noticed that either you liked or you didn't like?
I love to squat. It is something for my size that I feel like I'm strangely good at. And I was like, I can squat heavy, and then this is like one of my events. Heck yeah. So I did a local meet. I think I competed in the 148s, I think, at the time. I think I cut maybe 2 pounds for it or something like that.
That's nice.
Ended up winning, qualified for Worlds out of it. And I was like, yep, we're going to keep doing this.
Now, do you have
It was really, I love to squat. So if I can squat in any competition, let's go.
So you went to Worlds pretty much your first year into going into powerlifting?
Yeah, I went to Worlds within my first 6 months, I think, of powerlifting.
Holy crap.
I got demolished. Let me throw this out there. I got smashed.
But the fact that you got to go there on the platform at Worlds, that in itself is
Yeah.
an accomplishment. And I think that's what people overlook. It's like, oh, I went there and I got beat. It's like, but you went there.
Exactly.
You took a 1% person, put him in now another category of 1%, and then took that and put it in another S tier of 1%. So it's like, what? There's nothing to be sad about.
No, not at all. No, and it was in Vegas. It was my first time going to Vegas. I was like 23, 24. Went with a bunch of friends. Like, it's a great memory. So
Yeah.
I couldn't be sad about it.
What was your weight class? What were your numbers?
I think I cut down for that. I think I was sitting a little heavier, but still went down to the 148s. I don't think I can't even remember what I did for Worlds. I think I did maybe like a 350 squat, so nothing crazy, like 180 bench and maybe like a 375 pull, and then it was just not good in comparison to everybody else. So then when I did like a small another local meet and then qualified for nationals. The following year, I was like, I am not going to go to another big competition and get smoked. So I decided to move up to, because cutting does not go well for me. You can ask my nutrition coach. I do it fine, but I hate it. I bitch, I complain, I feel like crap. So I was like, screw it, I'm going up to 165. I usually weighed in at like 159, fully fed, showed up to weigh-ins with like Starbucks and like a donut, and then I was like, I am not going to get crushed. And I remember my nationals weights, I did a 375 squat, a 193 bench, and then a 405 pull at 159-ish.
That's awesome.
And then I got third that year, so that was fun.
Do you remember who hosted that? What organization or what league was that?
It was a USPA meet.
Was USPA? So
that
was a Steve Dennison and his crew?
Yes, it was Steve. Is it still Steve that runs it?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely Steve then. Okay.
Yeah,
it was definitely Steve.
We did a USPA event over here at Tucson Strength, and we had the luxury and just incredible time because we had Steve right there on the mic next to myself and Paul, and him and Paul go way back. They compete against each other like they came up together. So seeing two like icons of the sport, talk about all the old times. That's why I got into this, the whole broadcasting and podcasting, because it's just learning like how they're training. Because let's face it, training nowadays, a little bit more science behind it, a little bit more
different.
There was like, oh, there's a tire, let's go. Okay, add more weight.
Let's max out every day.
Oh, my knee hurts. Oh, probably because you have not enough weight. Boom, weight out, the pain will go away. It's like, you got to be kidding me.
Oh, it popped out. Throw it back in.
Back in, yeah. So Steve and Paul they're two good people, and possibly we'll see if something works out that we have a big surprise coming next year with USPA. So we'll see what happens. But Steve's a great guy, salt of the earth, just basically blue collar as you can get, shoot you between the eyes. I had enjoyed all the time I spent with Steve Dennison.
Yeah, I've always had good terms with him. So
yeah,
back in the day.
Yep. Okay, so now you went to nationals your first year, got smoked. Went nationals your second year.
Worlds got smoked. Nationals got third my second year. Yeah.
Okay, so now the way you're saying this, does that mean then you somehow went in the strongman after that?
Then I did a USPA FitCon meet in Utah. It was my last powerlifting meet in 2018. Okay. Was still powerlifting, and then I remember it was August, and I remember calling my mom. I was like, Mom, I can't afford to live in Colorado with these dead-end jobs. She's like, well, Grace, I told you to go to nursing school in the first place. You got a stupid college degree. And I was like, fine. So I got into nursing school on a whim, moved back to Wisconsin in a week's time. And there was not USPA in Wisconsin. So I was still like training for powerlifting, but it was kind of a dead end because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And there was no competitions, and it was a nursing school, and it was too much. So I had a friend that was like, why don't you come join my CrossFit gym? Try Olympic weightlifting, try CrossFit. So I went, I tried, I was going to do it like twice a week, for some cardio in my powerlifting programs, essentially. And then I really liked it. So then I went to that.
Yeah. So now you're in CrossFit. So you went bodybuilding, powerlifting. Now you're in the CrossFit game. So were there Olympic lifts that you enjoyed doing?
Clean and jerk all day, every day. And I love that we still get to do some variations with it in Strongman.
With the axle.
Which is why I probably did really good in that event at nationals, because I'm so used to doing it. I did it for 3.5, 4 years while I was in nursing school. All just crop cleans.
Yeah.
That was okay. It's hard. It's hard. I'm not that mobile.
They're right. Yeah, I actually just because of the bucket list thing. I'm meeting with a good friend of mine, and she got a lot of people here in Arizona into Olympic lifting in the strongman as well. And we're gonna try and talk. See, maybe at the age of 41, maybe I can go do one more competition before I'm officially just done. But it's always been. I always thought. Now it's not so much CrossFit, but just in Olympic lifting, it's so impressive to see that.
It's so technical.
Oh.
It is form and technique all day long, which is why I kind of like strongman better, because if you get the lift and it looks like crap, it doesn't matter.
As long as the arm goes down, right?
Exactly.
So you got on the CrossFit. Now, did you do any CrossFit games or anything like that, or where did you go in CrossFit?
I think as far as I made it, would be just it was just really basic level. Like there's the open every year, and then there's quarterfinals. And I think I placed my last year CrossFit. I placed, I think, like 1,500th in the nation of everyone that did CrossFit. But I'm not a gymnast by any means. I am very clumsy. Handstand walks. I can do bar muscle ups, rings. That's fine. But like, you want to put me upside down on my hands and try to make me walk over some implements? It's not going to go well. It's my downfall.
Okay. So you're still training CrossFit. That was kind of like your new ish. Did you do powerlifting on top of that? Or was that pretty much what you got to do?
Not CrossFit? Really. Once I got bit by the CrossFit bug, I was like, okay, we're going to do this now.
Okay. So,
and then I did that for the whole time I was in nursing school until last June when I moved out to Colorado and got bit by the Strongman bug.
See, ladies and gentlemen, that's what's crazy about this, is that she just started doing Strongman last year. Is pretty much how this came to be. And that's why it's impressive, and I want to get her story out here. So you did that. Now you're in Colorado, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And now, how did you get, I guess, indoctrinated into the Strongman?
Just my old powerlifting teammates became Strongman. I did my first meet, and it was honestly, after my first meet, I was like, okay, I can maybe do this, but I was still like, I'm going to keep doing CrossFit because to be quite honest with you, I liked it. I was like, I have a six-pack. This is so cool. I had never had one in my life. So I was like, I'm just going to do Strongman for fun, like maybe once a week. And then I got talked into, my coach owns Iron Titan Gym in Denver, him and his wife, Justin and Katie Manning. And I was going up there on Saturdays because I live down in the Springs, which is about an hour away. And they talked to me, and they put on a show every year called Tournament of the Titans. And they were like, why don't you sign up as a lightweight for Tournament of the Titans? And I was like, oh, I got to cut to 132. I was sitting at 134. And I don't know if I can do that. That's really nerve-wracking. Don't know if I can do that. But I signed up anyway. Ended up not doing lightweight and moving to middleweight, weighed in at 136.
Wait, you went the opposite way?
I literally was too scared. Trust me, if you ask Katie, she was like, this girl will not stop texting me about losing weight. I was freaking out. So I said, screw it. I'm going to compete in the 165 and unders. I weighed in at 136 that day. Got second, qualified for nationals.
Now hold up. Now hold up. She glassed over something that and I found out. She kind of said earlier in the stream, but you came in second, but the first place contestant, the first place athlete, had you by about maybe almost 70 pounds.
Yeah, my first meet, the girl had me by about 70 pounds, and the second meet, the girl had me by, let's see, I was 136 and she had to weigh in at 165. And
your numbers weren't that off for what you guys did.
No. I think she beat me by a few points.
Right.
Ended up beating me by a few points. So I like to eat. Like, I'd rather eat than die.
That's why we work out, so we get whatever we want, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so you did your first competition, and a little write-up you said, kind of you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad.
No. But then once I did the second one, and I think it was October, then I was like, okay. I kind of like this. And then I had Justin. I signed up to be one of Justin's athletes. And he was like, you know, you got to cut that CrossFit stuff out on the side. Like, you can only do my programming. I still do a little extra cardio. You can go and he'll yell at me about it. It's fine.
Right.
But I stopped doing CrossFit completely because he was like, well, now that you've qualified for nationals, like, you've got to focus. Like, you can't do 2 sports. And I chose Strongman, and I'm glad I did.
And then, of course, you know, how I first saw her is when we were down at the USS Nationals this year over in Dallas. And what did you end up doing there?
I won, and I won the 132s and the overall lightweight, so that was really cool.
Yeah, you did. And that was Megan, and let me tell you, Megan and John, they put on some good numbers for weight you guys had to do. That was not an easy event, I'll tell you that.
No, it was fun. I loved all of those events. I would do them all. They were so fun. Absolutely. So thank you guys for putting on a good show down in Dallas.
Oh, they did a great show. You know, Willie and those guys, and of course, you know, John Lesser, big state rep over there, one of the 4, since Texas is so big, that helped out with that. It was we couldn't have been more happier with the way it turned out, and just blessed to be down there and help them, you know, showcase all the athletes and showcase that show, because that was, as of right now, that was probably the most fun show I've ever been at. It was so exciting just watching everybody go.
I had a blast. And let me say, that hotel, they had the cheeseburgers for us upstairs, like those 16-ounce cheeseburgers. I had 2 of them that weekend. They were phenomenal.
If Paul was on the show right now, unfortunately, Paul, he's got to finish up some work this weekend, but he had, and Gabe, of course, Gabe Pena, him and Paul go back and forth, and they still text about it. I'm like, my God, guys, can we move past that? That they had a brisket lasagna there, and that was. It was incredible. It was amazing, actually. I had
There's a reason people like Texas. They have good food. Guns and good food. What can you say?
Exactly. So you won your weight class. And now, moving forward, and I was like, you're at a competition right now. And I remember a couple weeks ago, you were putting up things to qualify for a certain event.
OSG.
There it is.
OSG. Yeah, it's closed. The online qualifier is closed. I'm trying to make the 64 kilogram, which is the international lightweight. Essentially, it's the lowest you can go, 141 pounds-ish. I'm sitting in 5th right now, so it really depends if my videos pass all the things they need, and I'm hoping they do, because then I'll go to OSG. I also got an invite last week for America's Strongest Woman in the 64 kilogram class as well.
And where's America's Strongest Woman going?
That one is in Miami. So if I didn't have a mortgage, I'd be like, let's do them all. But travel on a mortgage it's hard. In Colorado is pricey.
Yeah.
But I'm blown away that I'm getting invites to like USS Women's Pro Worlds, to America's Strongest, and if I qualify for OSG, like all within my first year and a half, it's blowing my mind. And I'm so honored and thankful. Now, I really want to put that out there. Super thankful.
Oh, absolutely. And I did want to ask you this. So, you know, you had a lot of success, but it's not all about success. You've had some hardships. You had some times you got knocked down a couple pegs or 2 in the sport. But what keeps you, or what do you use to keep your motivation, to keep your drive alive, to keep competing day in and day out like you
do? Without getting too depressing, darkness. Yeah. I had a lot of mental health things when I was younger, eating disorders, depression, all of that. And the only thing that really kept me going every day was like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. That was my stress reliever. It still is. And honestly, as a nurse, like everybody's like, go get Grace. She can lift those patients. So I do it for being a nurse too. Like, got to lift the big patients. But honestly, it's what keeps me sane. It's the best therapy there is. So that's what keeps me going.
That's why I wanted to ask you that question, because for me personally, like I said, I'm almost 40 and I've been lifting since, age of 14, in high school, football and wrestling and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that no matter what, especially for mental health, and I try to tell people this, I said, it's not a end all. It's not going to fix everything, but going to the gym and working out, it allows you to not only deal with any kind of mental issues you have going on, to express those things and get those toxicity vibes out there. It does wonders. And unless you're doing it, I know it sounds like it's voodoo magic or it's all smoke and mirrors, but the gym is one of those places you can go to where you can hit a reset button. And maybe sometimes you do that in life. And once you're there, you're like, well, you know what? Things ain't that bad.
No, and it's a natural high that you can get
Yes.
without drugs and alcohol, which I've had my fair share of problems with that because I grew up in Wisconsin. We like to drink, right? But you can have these natural highs and have a good way to like kind of like get those serotonins and the endorphins going
Right.
without doing anything that's going to be detrimental to your body in the short term and long term. So I think everybody should get some kind of physical activity.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing too. Is it's just that the hardest part is going to the gym because once you're in it, you're in
Absolutely.
it. And I mean, there are those mornings. There's those times you're like, oh, I'm ready for a break.
I
Maybe
gotta go to,
maybe won't go today. Maybe we'll go tomorrow. But it's like, nope. Just put your boots
you
on.
go anyway.
Just
You
show up.
go.
Just show up. The drive. Once you open the door, you're like, all right. I walked in the door. I'm here. Let's do
At
something.
least, even if it's the worst workout on the planet, you can leave and you go, at least I moved today. At least I did something.
And that's where you're going to grow. And your body's going to grow not only physically, but mentally because you're like, oh, I got past that point.
Exactly. And I wish more people, like, there's a lot of people that understand that, but I want everybody to understand how amazing.
Yeah, it is one of the things like we can't stress that enough here at Valor and Venom. And obviously, hearing you say that, Grace, and seeing and hearing that the gym has allowed you to not only excel in the sport, but obviously overcome a lot of adversity that you guys had.
Thing.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Let's see. So you got OSG coming up.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. So with that, who now tell us about your trainer. So who actually is your trainer, and how did you meet them?
So Justin is my strength coach, Justin Manning. I met him because he was at the first Strongman competition that I did because the Denver Strongman community is like so tight knit. And his gym like essentially gave all the was the equipment for the competition. And that's where my friends were training, was at his gym. So I'd gone there like a couple times prior to this competition, and him and his wife have the most amazing atmosphere. Like, you walk in, they want to get to know you. If they know you don't know what you're doing, you're new, they're going to show you what to do. They're going to coach you even if you're not their athlete. And I just really liked them right away, and I just slowly stuck with it. And then finally Justin was willing to take me on as an athlete in October, like end of October, and so we haven't turned back, and he's done amazing things. Like, I can't even say, like, I think for June, I was maybe pulling an 18-inch axle of like 350 for 2. And the other day I pulled, it was a standard barbell on an 18-inch axle, wagon wheels, but I pulled 405 for 4.
Yep.
So, like, he's done such amazing things for my strength. So, go Dad. We call him Dad. I call him Dad. And then CJ Kraus does my nutrition. And I think most people, most people, I think he's a big deal. CJ is awesome. He knows exactly what he's doing. Like, I swear the man knew when I was cutting down by the hour what weight I would be. And he was like, he's phenomenal. If anybody out there needs a nutrition coach to get you, hit up CJ because he's the shit. Let's be real. And he has really great style. If you've ever seen CJ compete, he's wild. I love it.
Is that CJ Kraus Instagram? They can find him.
Yeah, Giant Slayer Kraus is
okay.
CJ. Yeah, he's great. I think he's doing one of the PSL shows too coming up. He's moved up to the 90s, 90 kilograms instead of the 80s. So I think he's awesome. He just did Chaos Strength Classic over in England as well. That's my next big goal. Like, go to OSG and then do good enough eventually to qualify, because I want to go to Europe so bad, and that would be a great reason. So I'm just like, pick me.
What's it better than just a vacation? They should go there and
exactly,
and represent the United States. Would be fantastic.
Yeah, so those are the goals that I have going on. Whether it happens or not, we'll see. We'll find out.
Awesome. Now I'm gonna caveat back to you're talking about your trainer. So what does he have you doing for your routine or your split? What's your typical week look like?
So he has me programmed for 4 days a week. We have day 1 is squat focused, and then a lot of like my quads, some lunges, things like that. But it's mainly focused around legs and squats. Those are my 2 main lifts of the day. The next day is a press day. My day 2 is a press day, so it's either like a bench, or if I have a lot of overhead stuff we have to work on, overhead, and then a bunch of accessory work. And then my 3rd day is always my pull day, so it's some kind of deadlifts. and it's all back and posterior chain. Like, blows me up. And then my fourth day is always strongman event specific, so it depends on what my next competition is, and then he programs based off those events. And then he programs a month at a time, and it's usually one Saturday is one thing, and then Saturday is another, and then it's like every other. We kind of go back, so we can still build those certain events, but we're getting a variety. And like every 2 weeks I do stones. I love stones. I want to get so much better at them. Those are me.
That was going to kind of caveat off of my next question. So what is your favorite event and what's your worst event?
Oh. Well, today for the first time I tried pressing the yoke, because that is one of the things at OSG.
Yeah.
So far, worst one. Couldn't get a single rep. So that will be my worst. My favorite event, I love log. I love doing the log. I think it's so strongman specific and it's so much fun.
Right.
But I love stones. I'm not great at them. But I want to be. Like, I have so much fun. When my arms are all like tore up from the tacky for like the rest of the week, I like to look at them and go, yeah.
I used to say that. I used to say log's a staple, but all the shows that we've been to and I've watched, I'm like, there's always a stone event. Not necessarily always a log press, but there's always a stone event of some kind.
Stones have been huge, yeah.
Yeah. So
I like those a lot.
What's your least favorite, I guess? Yoke doesn't count because you just try it today. So that doesn't count.
I don't have the best grip, to be quite honest with you. So a medley that has grip specific, like the Denny stones, I've never tried those.
Right.
But farmer care, like my grip is not my strong point. So probably a moving event with farmers or something like that. It's hard. Do you see these baby hands? They're tiny. They can't hold heavy weights. Come on now.
Now, do you have training that you do to help your grip strength get a little bit better each time?
We haven't done a lot of that lately, but I have a feeling that's probably going to be coming up here pretty soon. Well, but the deadlifts, just even increasing the amount of deadlifts that we've been doing recently, my grip strength I've noticed is already getting better. And I trust Justin. He knows what to do.
Are you guys using the axle bar or standard bar?
Right now we've done a lot from the floor for OSG qualifier with just the standard bar. And I think if I look through the month, it's standard bar right now, but I'm sure Axel's gonna come back pretty soon.
Gotcha. I personally own one of those head strength bars, big Texas head strength bars, like the solid 85 core, and it's always fun. I always love using that thing because that's the key is your grip. Your grip strength, I think, it's the least trained event that anybody ever does, but it's the most important because that's going to give you your couple extra seconds that maybe goes for a first or second place, or maybe that's going to go for a win just to get that weight up there. But
just because you can move and not be like, ah!
Right. But the one thing I always tell people, I say, if you're going to go into an event specific, and it has nothing to do really with strength, it just has to do with basically your body getting used to that starting spot. You going with a standard deadlift bar, even a whippy deadlift bar, and sure, you're pulling like 700, 800 pounds. But then you go to a solid core axle bar they're using for the event. If you've never done that, I've seen it time and time again. That thing don't move because you're not used to it.
No, it changes everything. I remember the first time I deadlifted with an axle bar, I was like, what in the...
Yeah.
How am I supposed to hold this thing?
Right. But it's just one of those things I tell people, I say, if there's an event you're going for, if you got to drive a little bit, especially if you're getting serious into this, you got to find a gym that has a specific implement that you're going to be using. The closer you get to what it is on game day, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to show up and have never done an event, unless you're just a really amazing athlete, like
some people are,
some people are. I'm a practice makes perfect kind of gal. It might not go well. Like strongman there's just so many weird things that you wouldn't do, and like one of my competitions, we had to carry a fire hydrant.
Right.
And let me tell you, carrying a fire hydrant, you're never going to carry anything like it normally.
No.
So you want to touch those implements before you go do it for the first time and get scored off of it.
Yeah, we had a World's Strongest Firefighter, Andrew Burton, on here not too long ago, and we were watching his event, and he competed obviously at the USS Nationals over there in Dallas as well. And yeah, it's like, oh, you're gonna carry this, oh, you're carrying a fire hydrant. Okay, it's the most awkward thing you could possibly carry.
It's so strange. And never in your life do you think to yourself, you know what? I think I'm gonna go pick up that fire hydrant today. Like that's just the weird shit that Strongman makes you do. And I always love to do like sometimes I'll do little posts like the weird things that Strongman has me do today. It's like the Mouser block press. When would you ever put this big rectangular metal block above your head? Like, oh, it's asking to get a concussion.
The Mouser block, it's cool to watch, but every time I watch it, I'm sweating in the booth going, so much could go wrong right now. I mean, it's because it could slip and then that's it. Like,
oh, I know. Justin just had me start doing it maybe a month or two ago,
yeah.
and I have dropped that thing on my face and on my top of my head so many times. Yeah. I'm like, I've had too many concussions. I don't have many brain cells left. I can't be dropping this thing.
But that's why I love the sport. I think we all love the sport because it's like, what are we doing today? And if you look at an event, people will join. This is for you. They're trying to put shows on and whatnot to maybe hear this. People will join your event if there's something that they've never seen before or something that sounds fun. Like you can do, what to say? You can do like, all right, we're going to have stones. We're going to have a log press. We're going to have a wagon wheel deadlift. We're going to have a medley, a Volkswagen bug walk. The hell?
Exactly.
And your clientele will be like, I'm joining just so I can put a Volkswagen bug on my shoulders and go.
Not even like the clientele, but just the spectators as well.
Right.
People are like, what?
Right.
What?
Yeah.
That's why we want to see like the biggest lifts, like it draws your attention. And it's like watching the Rogan, like the Rogan Invitational or World's Strongest Man. You want to see things that you didn't think were possible.
Right. And the coolest thing about that too is that even though it's a competition, everybody's really there to root everybody on. We want to see the implement move. We want to see whatever you're doing. Just somebody complete this darn thing. Like if you had like 10 people go for this thing and no one get done, that 11th guy or that 11th gal, you're like, I hope they complete it. Just to say somebody mastered this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if they're like you're neck and neck with somebody. You want to see them do well because you know how hard they're training. Like I want to see everybody succeed because that just makes competition and every individual athlete even better.
And plus, it's cool because when you're doing the invitation and it's coming down to the wire, and you maybe got like maybe 20 or 10 more feet, and all of a sudden you hear that roar behind you of everybody that's at the venue. It's like, what else you got to do? You got nothing to leave on the table. Just go. Just leave it out the platform.
Yeah, no, exactly. A girl actually came up to me today, and she was doing her log press, and I love just like I'm loud. That's why my voice is so raspy right now. I screamed at her and said 3 times in a row. I said, "You know you can do this," because I've seen her do it before. And she came up to me afterwards, and she's like, "I don't usually hear people yelling like specific things. I just hear like the loudness." And she's like, "That just stuck in my head." And she's like, "I got those reps because I could hear you." And that's what it's all about. Like, it's community. That's really, you want to know why I do Strongman? It's the community, the people. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, your cheering section was behind me specifically in the booth at USS this year.
That would have been my sister.
I was like, turn that down a little bit.
My mom. So we both are like my mother, and my mom always told us when we were kids, if you use a deeper voice, it carries louder. So like when I play sports, you could hear distinctively my mother. She is Irish Italian. You could hear this deep voice carry. And my sister and I both have deep voices, and like we're not quiet at all. And I know, like you watch videos. If I ever watch my videos from nationals, I'm like,
oh no, because Gabe and I think we actually make a comment. I go, well, apparently that's Grace's cheering section right there.
That was my sister. She came. I've never had my family come to a meet.
Yeah.
For powerlifting, for anything, and she drove down with me while I was water loading. Mm-hmm. Stopped every half hour so I could pee. Yeah. Like she was there. So shout out to my sister. You are awesome. Thank you. And she got hooked. She was like, I was like, you can go back to the room. Like I'm done. She's like, no. I have to stay and watch. I am committed now.
Right.
And I was like, I love this.
No, it was awesome. Like I said, your cheering station specifically was like right behind us at one point, and it was awesome. That's how kind of I was like, okay, let me start looking her up and see what this is about.
Like,
that was awesome.
Who is this girl and what do I need to know?
Yeah, pretty much exactly what it was. But
exactly. No, I walked into that ballroom or whatever event room you would call it, and I had no idea what the belts were for. And I looked at Justin. I was like, I want one of those. Like, even if it was participation belt, I was like, I want that. He's like, you got to win overall. I was like, I'm coming for that.
Oh no, your expression when Willie gave you that thing and you put it on, it was genuine. It wasn't like, hey, look at me. You were excited. You're like a little kid.
I was like a kid on Christmas. I wanted that belt so bad. I did not take it off until I went to bed that night.
Posing in the mirror with it. Laying in a
not
bed.
Ashamed. I was like, look at this. Look at this. I was getting people. I rarely ever drink, but I drank that day, and I'd have strangers that were like, buy that one a drink. The girl with the belt. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah,
I gotta use this thing.
We may have saw your Instagram pictures when you were posting your stories that night.
Yeah, I definitely decided to have a few shots of tequila that day.
It was funny. So you got your split for your workout. So now your nutrition. So now you said you like to eat, but again, when it comes down to crunch time, no matter what sport it is, you kind of got to watch what you're doing. You got to see where it is because you don't want to be undernourished and you don't be overnourished because there's such thing as that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So right now, I honestly don't even eat enough. I'm probably gonna get in trouble if he watches this now. CJ has me at like 2,800 calories a day, 380 I think grams of carbs. Okay. 160 of protein, but he always keeps my fats pretty low. Like I'm at 70, and that's actually quite high for him because I'm bulking. When I cut, he has I think at the end of my cut, my carbs were down to like 25 grams a day.
Wow.
Yeah. And I love peanut butter, so it was a very depressing time. It was very dark time.
Especially your bodybuilding days, apparently. Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I didn't know I was going to have to be doing this.
That's crazy.
But no, so I'm eating, it's a lot of carbs right now. And it's almost hard for me to eat as much as he wants me to eat. But I know because most girls in the 64 kilograms cut down and I'm essentially growing into it.
Right.
I know I'm the underdog and I'm new. So I know I'm the underdog. So I know I have to push. I got to eat. But
do you have like a routine? Like we did powerlifting even for the strongman events too. Like as soon as you weigh in, it's game on. Like you can weigh in at like 270. I'm competing at like 305 because I'm gonna go eat that night and eat like an entire like just bowl of pasta. It's just the way it's gonna go.
I have celiac, unfortunately, like I can't go. Yeah, I have lactose intolerance.
So it's not fun at all.
So like, no, what I can eat is very limited anyway.
Damn.
But it's definitely like eat as much as you can, but I can't have the very fun things. Like there's so much food here today and I'm like, can't have any of that. Can't have any of that. And everybody's like, why don't you have one of these beers? It's so good. I was like, I would be in the hospital, sir.
But even with that, did you get diagnosed with that early on in life or is that something that kind of came out?
Unfortunately, no. I moved. So the first college I went to, I moved away. I went there first semester, moved back home, but I was getting violently sick, missing classes. We had no idea what was going on. So when I moved back home, I got my first scope and biopsy, and they just said, "Oh, you have your IBS. Clean up your diet." And all I was eating was the most bland food. So I was like, I don't know how to clean it up anymore. And it got to the point where my throat was like completely closing up and I couldn't even get water down. And so they were like dilating my esophagus, doing scopes. I've had colonoscopies, like the whole gamut, and no one could tell me what was wrong. And I went to a chiropractor that was like a naturopath too. And he looked right at me. He did like his weird voodoo stuff. And he was like, you can't have wheat. I was like, bull crap. You get diagnosed with celiac when you're a child.
Right.
Like that's not a thing. And I think I was 26 at this time, 27 maybe. And when the next time my throat decided to close up in my esophagus, I was like, can you please do another biopsy? Like I have this naturopath saying I can't have wheat. And they're like, we would know that by now, blah, blah, blah. They did the test and they're like, oh yeah, you have celiac. I was like, So for about it was probably from 19 to 26. I was getting violently ill almost every time I ate.
Wow.
And it was just because my diet wasn't clean enough, but it was really because I can't have wheat.
And wheat's pretty much in
Mhm.
everything.
It's in, like, you would think you could go, it's in everything, like, especially sauces for the preservative.
Right.
It's actually in toothpaste, too.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I have to look at specific toothpaste, like the things you would never think to look at.
Now, would you say
So,
and obviously it's difficult because you guys stay on a certain plan, but when it comes to your diet, and obviously with CJ writing it for you, do you say it's pretty easy to say, okay, well, I know my diet, this is what I have to do to kind of stay on here. So the good and bad qualities of that, how do you gauge that? Or like, is it kind of like frustrating sometimes? Or you're just like, yeah, it is what it is.
at this point, I've gotten so used to it. It is what it is. And honestly, in a way, celiac actually works towards my benefit, because when like most people have like a craving, they'll be like, oh, I went off my
Right.
macros a bit. But I really can't do that, because if I do, not only am I going to get violent, like my stomach loves routine. So I can eat the same meal every day for a month for both meals, and it's fine. And it's mainly because I know this isn't going to make me sick.
Right.
So at this point, it is what it is. I actually had some tacos from a taco truck the other Friday, and I specifically said, I have celiac. I can't. Oh, it had wheat in it. I was sick from Friday night, Saturday morning until Thursday.
Jesus, that's horrible.
So I'm like, okay, this is why I don't eat out. This is why I pack my little meals and bring as you can see, my giant cooler with me everywhere. Just a crazy bag lady. It's fine.
No, it's the same thing when I go to class. It's sitting there. It's like, oh, there's your briefcase for your books, and it's like, what is that? That's my meals.
Those are my foods. I need those.
I don't know if because maybe I'm a bigger guy that nobody has said anything about it, but I could definitely see like it's all electronic. It's all like, don't eat or drink in this classroom. I'm just sitting there with like my dry chicken and rice, just sitting there like this. No, it's
You're like, but I have to.
Right.
I always have a gluten-free peanut butter and jelly sandwich in my scrub pocket every morning, and everybody knows where I sit because my peanut butter and jelly is right there. They're like, oh, Grace is here today.
What's funny about that, my cousin who got me into lifting, and he lives right down the road from me. We've been pretty much brothers my whole life. Peanut butter and honey sandwich is still our go-to energy thing, or we just love eating them. Like if you
butter and jelly, like my dad is 67 years old, and that man has a peanut butter and jelly sandwich every single day for lunch.
Yep, it's a
staple.
People are like, oh, what do you eat before you go to the gym? Peanut butter, honey, maybe sometimes a banana sandwich. Really? It's like, well, you got your sugars, you got your spike right there, you got your protein, and you got your carbs.
What else do you need? Really?
And it's the cheapest.
It's a balanced meal.
Right. It really is. It really is. And you're gonna work it out, so don't worry about
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned. And I wouldn't go without, like, I love my peanut butter and jellies. You will not take those away from me. No, sir.
Do you ever cheat and substitutes what are the oh my gosh, man.
The PB2s?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, the circle things, the pre-made ones.
The Smuckers?
Yeah.
I can't. They have wheat in them.
If you never had one of those things in a toaster,
I've never had a Smucker in my life.
Oh my god!
To tell you the truth, my mom always made my own. I would always go to Catholic school, and my mom would pack my lunches, and she would cut off the crust and make my peanut butter and jellies for me.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Okay, we've been chatting for about an hour right now.
We have.
Do you want to keep going, or you gotta get back in there?
That's up to you. It honestly looks like everybody's kind of packing up shop, so I think the day is ending. So it's up to you, man.
No, we can keep going.
Let's keep rolling.
All right. So, how difficult is it? Because you said you're nursing. So obviously, are those 12? Is it 12 hours do you do 4 on and 3 off, or what's your shift?
So I work 2 jobs. I work Monday through Wednesday, 12-hour shifts at mental health and alcohol and drug rehab and inpatient rehab center.
Okay.
I work 10 to 10 there, so I get up and train before I go there. And then I work every Friday. I used to work full-time at the hospital, but I work on an orthopedic trauma floor at a level 1 trauma center, and it's a lot. This sounds silly to say, but it is a lot of secondary trauma.
Yeah.
I see gunshot wounds. I see amputations. I see the craziest things all day, every day. And I got to a point where I was like, I just can't have this all the time. So I do the mental health and alcohol and drug 3 days a week, and then I work at the hospital every Friday. So I have Thursdays off, and then Saturday and Sundays.
So I'm gonna assume you're not a night owl when it comes to training. If you don't get your training in the morning, you don't go at night.
No, I
Yeah.
wake up. I wake up at like 4 to 5 a.m., 6 on a lucky day, and I go to the gym and then I go work 12 hours. So I work about 48 to 50 hours a week. I train 4 to 5 times a week, and then I have school on top of it.
How much longer you got for school?
Um, my classes are one every 8 weeks, so it's an accelerated program. So I'll probably be done by the end of next December.
And then you're totally done with school, or is there something else you want to go into the next stage of?
I think I'm gonna take a break for a while, but it's always kind of been on my radar to go get my doctorate in nursing.
Okay.
I want to be my own boss, kind of, but that costs a lot of money and 3 more years. And I already have 11 years of college education under my belt at this point. So I need some time away for a little bit.
Now, is that according to your mom? Because she thinks you have a BS degree, your first one?
Yeah, bachelor's of science in my first one, and then I got an associate's of science in my second one, and now a bachelor's all over again.
But those ain't BS degrees. What did you go for? What did you go originally for?
Like kinesiology, so exercise science and history. So I have a bachelor's in exercise science,
Okay.
arts and history, and associates in science of nursing.
So was your
But
plan at one point in time to be a personal trainer?
my personal training certification.
Yeah.
Honestly, college the first time, I had no clue what I wanted to do. I didn't even really want to go, but my parents didn't go to college, so like we had to. Like that was a requirement.
Yeah.
In my family, so I went. I just was like, well, I like to work out. This program's all about fitness. I guess I'll do this. And then I worked a bunch of dead-end jobs and was like, okay, shit, should have done something better the first time because here I am a decade later still in school.
But you're grinding it. You're being successful, and the biggest thing that people don't realize, and we try to get the knowledge out there, and we'll see if you agree with it, is that the best PED you could possibly have is rest and sleep. And
Absolutely.
and it's hard to get that sometimes. And like with your schedule, working 2 jobs, how many hours of sleep do you usually average? And has that ever been a problem for your training, or you just kind of like get through it?
It's a huge problem. I'm an insomniac, so
Yeah.
I haven't slept a night through, and I can't tell you how long. Even if you ask my mom when I was a baby, I wouldn't take naps. She loved me. I never napped as a child. I never napped as a baby. I don't sleep through the night. So
Yeah.
getting enough rest is hard for me, but also that's my whole life. So I can run off very little sleep. My coaches probably would say I need to get more rest, but I can rest when I'm dead.
Do they ever program that for you?
There are times when Justin has literally programmed rest in all capital letters because he knows I won't. Sometimes he'll even write in like, you must stretch in all caps because I'm just like, no, let's just warm right up. Throw the plates on. Let's go.
Yeah.
No, he knows me well enough that he knows he has to actually probably rein me in more than push me. Because if I don't feel like I'm overworking, I feel like I'm underworking, kind of. So I'm like, I should do more, and he's like, no, no, you should stop now.
That's the one thing that you see all the time again, and you being a champion, obviously, and having all success you've had, it's listening to your coach. And I think that's the one thing you see people don't do. They always question it. They always ask, well, I don't know why I'm doing this weight when I was doing this weight last time. It's like, I tell them, I go, did you hire him? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You think they can get you where you need to go? Yeah. Then why are you not trusting them now when you're in the program to where you're ready to trust them before? And that's not they don't trust them. It's just that it's we get it as athletes in the head of like, oh, I can only do more, but they know what they're doing. Your body's going to respond to it better because it's like you can't just go all the time. Even though we think we can, but it's like
we'd love to think we can,
yes,
but we really shouldn't.
But that's why the name of the show is called the Deload, because there is that week that's called the Deload, and you that have been on the platform know exactly how important that is. You may want to go there and do some numbers the week before the show, but guess what? Just wait for it. Just wait for it.
And
You'll get your
you gotta
numbers.
wait.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing. The week before competitions, when I can't do anything, not even like Justin didn't even let me do cardio. I go nuts. Like I go,
Right.
I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I need to do something. And it's like, no, it has its benefits. So I'm learning very slowly that I
Yeah.
need to trust him better when it comes to rest.
That's the biggest thing. I'm glad you can say that too, because people always ask, "Oh, what's the best thing you can do?" Rest.
Rest.
If you work hard, you rest. You can work just as hard next day. I promise you. It's what you have to do. It's hard though, because we all want to sit there and go, and we all think we're bulletproof and 7 feet tall, which ain't the case at all. Trust me.
We're not. As we get older, especially.
So, in here, we'll talk more a little more personal about it. So, you said you grew up with hunting and fishing and whatnot.
I did. Good old Wisconsin,
Yeah.
born and raised.
So, do you still do hunting and fishing, or not so much anymore?
I don't hunt anymore. I haven't since probably college, just because hunting time is also like where finals would start picking up. So it just didn't happen. But when I live in Colorado, doesn't have very many lakes that are in comparison to Wisconsin, like good fishing. But when I lived back in Wisconsin, that was something my dad and I always do together. I'm a total daddy's girl. Everybody knows it. And we love to fish. My dad's an avid fisherman. He would tell you I'm a terrible fisher, but I love to fish. It's being out on the water, being out in the sun, which you can probably tell I really like to be out in the sun with my skin. I love it. But I love fishing. It's almost like the gym in a completely opposite sense. It's like it's calming, it's relaxing, it's just a time to clear your head, and getting to spend the time with my dad, it means a lot to me.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, you said something that caught my ear real quick. You said you love fishing, but your dad says you're a terrible fisherman. So,
Oh, terrible.
why does he say you're a terrible fisherman?
You know, the funny thing, I've been fishing since I was a little kid, and I don't know what it is about it, but I'm horrible at setting the hook or knowing there's a fish there to set the hook. Like, I think the last fish I caught, I was just like reeling back in because I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to a new spot. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I got a fish. And he's like, how do you not know? You've been doing this for how long? I was like, he's like, you are the worst fisherman I've ever met. I was like, I still caught it, didn't I?
That ADHD is a disease, okay? I was born like this. Is that pretty much what it comes
I was
down
like,
to?
this is probably your fault. The combination of like your anal retentive and mom's like sporadicness
Right.
in my head. It's all your fault.
That's funny. Where, what's the biggest fish you caught, or like besides fishing, like where do you guys usually go, or what's like your like little spot that you always enjoy going to with your dad?
My parents, well, until like last month, they actually lived on a really big lake. So we would literally just take the boat out off the dock
But
and
that's awesome.
go around. But I think at one point, it was when I was back in high school, I was fishing with like a high school boyfriend, and I caught like this giant catfish. Sheer dumb luck again. Probably didn't know it was on the line. And it was huge. And I called my dad because he wouldn't believe it. So he actually drove from our house to where we were fishing because he didn't believe it and was like, how did you catch that? And my boyfriend at the time was like, I have no idea, but he's like, my dad was like, this is the biggest catfish I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
But for most part, we just, we do bass fishing. That's our thing.
Oh, that's a fun fish.
It's fun fish. You can kind of do it on any lake in Wisconsin.
Right.
So wherever you want to go, you can catch some bass.
I grew up by Cleveland, Ohio, a little small suburb outside there, about 20 minutes. And you talk about hunting and fishing during deer season. There'd be times we sit in class, and all of a sudden it's like, teacher would be like, "Where's so and so and so and so so and so?" It's deer season.
Hunting.
It's deer season. They're in the stand.
Yeah, obviously. No, same. I was never allowed to skip school for deer hunting.
Oh, really?
But no, I always had to go to school. But my classrooms would be empty. There'd be maybe 5 of us. Everybody else would be gone hunting.
Right. It was great.
Part of the culture. Midwest, all the way.
Oh, absolutely. And maybe those times on the football fields, we got some jerky stuffed in our socks. That's just the way it works. We learn how to play with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sunflower seeds on the baseball field, all that stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. Over here, so you got, what's the one thing I just read? I meant to actually highlight it, and I didn't. Oh, boy, where is it at? Shame on me for not doing that. Anyhow, maybe it'll come to my head. later on. So you still have a pretty relationship with your mom and dad, obviously.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I got a chance not to meet them, but hear them and see them in action
You
at
know, at least
nationals.
you got to meet one of their replications,
Yes,
my sister.
yes. With that, so like now, when you were coming up, how were they supportive with like your weight training, your bodybuilding and stuff? Because and the reason I say that is because a lot of people they think that if women do that, they're gonna become like a man, are gonna change that. So
Hmm.
sometimes you get that pushback. But how were your parents? Where it's basically, hey, mom and dad, I enjoy doing this. I want to do this.
I think my dad always lifted weights. So he loves fitness, so he was always happy about me going to the gym, and my mom was too. Um, but when I started getting really into like especially powerlifting, when I got
Right.
really into powerlifting and I started getting a lot bigger, I definitely got a little bit of pushback at first, like, oh, you're gonna hurt yourself.
Right.
Oh, it was more of I think a safety concern than anything else. But there was always like, wow, you eat a lot. Like, it was a little hard at first. They didn't really get the whole like why I did it, and
Now they see
now
it.
they're just like, that's our daughter. They know like this
Right.
is kind of my lifestyle. Like, I'm not the. They know like I'm not gonna be the homemaker. I'm not gonna have kids. Like, they know this is my path. So they're unbelievably supportive of it. So they still don't want me to hurt myself because I am very clumsy, but they don't say it like they used to. They're just like, you're crazy. That's the general consensus.
Right, and I think that's any parents that they don't want their son or daughter to get hurt when they do sport. Even for even for males when they do this, parents are like, oh, why do you got to lift those kind of weights at like 14 or 16 years old? It's like because we enjoy doing it. And then when they see kind of like where you can go with it, because I think that's the biggest thing that people don't realize where you can go with it. Nowadays with
Oh yeah.
social media and all that stuff, you kind of see, oh, you can get
Mhm.
sponsored, you can do this stuff, you can do that stuff. Not saying that's why we're all in it, because to be successful, you gotta be in it because you just enjoy doing it.
Exactly. But if you can also help make a living with it,
Right.
why not? And one day I hope that I can help pay the bills a little bit with it, but we'll see. Right now I'm just gonna bust my ass being a nurse. Until then,
But
we'll
that
see. I'll keep trying.
but that's the best thing is because you have a job. In fact, you have two jobs, and then you do this on top of that. So it goes to show people that look, if you want to do this, no matter how hard it gets, if it's here,
You can do it.
you can do it. If it's your passion, it's your
You will
passion.
make time.
That
Exactly. People are
that's
always like, I
exactly
wish.
right.
I get that all the time. I wish I had as much time as you do.
It's like
I guarantee you I have
yeah,
less
yeah,
free
yeah.
time than
That
every single person that says that to me. It's just I choose to sleep less and not watch TV. And, I'm very, like, my time, like, probably this is the most free time just talking to you that I've had
yeah.
not scheduled in, I can't even tell you how long. So
That,
I just, you gotta love it. You gotta make it a priority.
no, exactly what you just said. I love when people say, "Oh man, I wish I had time like you." It's like it comes down to this: if it's important to you, you'll make time
You
for
make
it.
time.
My dog,
Mhm.
she's important to me. I make time to spend with her at least an hour a day to make sure I can, just so she can kind of get as much energy out
Exactly.
because she does more for me than she'll ever know. But on top of that, it's like you gotta go to the gym, you gotta go to school, you got medical appointments, you gotta have a business to run. You only got 24 hours in a day. Make it happen. But
Exactly.
she's got to do it, and that's what I tell people. It's like, oh, this person there call me back, or oh, I try to text this person, and this and that. It's like, well, they ain't making time for you. That's all it comes down to. The person's important to you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And that says it all right there.
right. But like for you, like for me, like I'm a morning person. I gotta get in the gym because I want to get it done. I want to get over with. I hate having it back here when you're doing your day,
No way.
and it's just like, oh, I still got to do.
It's,
I still got 2 hours, at least 2 hours of working out. I got to do. It's like, no, get up in the
and
morning.
if life gets in the way and you can't
Right.
get to it, I'm going to be a cranky
Yep.
person. So I would rather get up early, get less sleep, get it done, and then have my day to do everything else. Hands down.
Oh, it's funny because I'm sitting there in class and there's like 30 of us or 27 of us in class sometimes. Left or right side, they're passed out on computers asleep at like, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. We got class. I'm sitting there like this. Like,
And you're like, I've already been up
yeah,
for however long.
my day's halfway over. This is the end of my day.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's an easy day.
You're like, The most important part of my day is over. Good.
But that's the biggest thing too. And I'm not. I mean, obviously there are people that like to work out in the afternoons and in the evenings, but for me in the mornings, you get up, you feel yourself, you're getting it out there, you're waking up, you're getting your lift in, and like you said, you get that natural high. So the rest of the day, it's like this weight is just off your shoulders.
Exactly. I completely agree.
But there's some times where you have to work out in the evening, and I could just tell I'm not at my full potential.
I'm not in it as much.
No, it's
just
I'm
tired. My lifts aren't as good. My stomach's usually upset from food. Like, no.
No, but it's absolutely impressive that you have the 2 jobs. You have the success that you had in the sport, and in a short period of time, that's what blows me away, and that's what I hope that people could kind of take away from this. And just listening to you actually talk about that, is that this sport, it's something that if you want it, you can go after it. No one can say no. No one can stop you. The only person who can stop you is you. It's that
exactly.
simple. It's that simple.
So, and I'm excited to see where I go in the next year. I know I'm the underdog, but like, I'm not letting anything stop me. So watch out, girls.
Absolutely.
I'm coming.
Absolutely. And we're gonna look forward to, like I said, I would like to have you back on here. You know, we'll do more of a promo. We'll get you going in here. But when you get closer to your show, because I want to do with Andrew as well and some other athletes, is you want to have it kind of maybe like that month before your show, because that last month is like, hey, you just worry about that, and then have you right after, so you can see how you are here compared to how you are here.
Yes, let's do it. I'm so down. Let's plan November and like January after the holidays. I'm down.
All right, that sounds great.
Heck yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been on a fantastic time getting to know Grace Ingebritson. God, told you I
got it that time.
So, hey, you've rewatched this. If you have any questions, comments, leave in the bottom. Get a hold of myself. I'm the American Outlaw USMC at IG. Also, Valor and Venom is the company that I have as well. And get a hold at Grace over here at what's your IG?
Grace _Adriana _Ingy. Come hit me up. I cannot wait to get to know each and every one of you that are watching.
Absolutely, I'm telling you. Follow her. She posts some pretty fun stuff, some pretty crazy stuff, and some exciting stuff as well. But again, thank you so much, Grace, for being here. We appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Best of luck to you in the future.
You have a great rest of your weekend, sir.
Absolutely. You all take care, and we'll see you next time. And don't forget, September 9th, over there at Huntington Beach, California, Valor Venom's going to be there at PSL, promoting their stream live on their YouTube channel. You take care. We'll see you next week.
Hey, guys.